What's going on, people? Kiss Shorty Gaming Nation. Yep. Let's talk about a topic. Give me 1 second. Anyway, click the like, click the share, subscribe. I don't know why my camera has that gray, whatever that is, but fuck it, that's what we're gonna have to deal with. All right. If I had to control over it, I'd just turn off the camera and speak to you faceless. I can hear my voice. As the title says, exploring why black men are called insecure for avoiding problematic women in relationships, right? Let's go to the definition of what insecure is before I begin. All right. Because what niggas do in the black culture is we take words, and normally because it's usually women. So shout out to the three people that jumped in. Click the like, click the share, and subscribe. Respect me and the channel. Okay. What the fuck is wrong with human beings? And I'm going to be selling some BBC to your white mama tonight. Christ. What's going on? Like, I gotta ask this question. Like, share, subscribe, respect me, the channel, what I want to talk about. I gotta ask a question. Why do people get up to go troll people's comment sections? Don't you not have a job? Don't you not have a girlfriend, a wife, or a family? I think people that troll are just losers in society. See what I'm saying? I don't know what you mean about get your dogs out. What does that mean? Anyway, I'm not going to respond to the trolls because I have something more important to talk about. What I'm going to do is just block people. Serious business. Or just cut off the chat. Like, I'm glad Donald Trump is going to get rid of the Board of Education because this is what it creates. So, no. I can't do nothing about you being homeless. Bro. Because the Board of Education has produced idiots. But anyway, exploring why black men are called insecure for avoiding problematic relationships, right? So for a very long time in black culture, black men have always been shamed. What's going on from England? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so Dylan, I'm going to block you because I don't know what y'all talking about. You're not talking about what I'm talking about, bro. Christ. But anyway, for a long time in black culture, whether it be Caribbean black culture or black American culture or just the black diaspora in general, right? black men have always been shamed into dating problematic women or women that doesn't meet his standard, his criteria, or his standards. Ideal, I'm in. I'm going to block you too. Do not oi me into the chat. I'm a grown ass. All right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to now edit this, and I'm going to put subscriber chat only because it's distracting the fuck out of me. Subscribers on. Live chat. All right, so cool. Only subscribers can chat into the channel. Good. Let's get to what I want to speak about. Real talk. Yeah. So, black men have always been shamed for having a standard, or for not picking women, or picking women that don't meet his criteria or his standards, as far as a relationship is concerned, right? And I'm gonna talk about the words that have been used against black men, and I'm going to go into deep on why it has been going on, right? So, for example, say a black man says he likes a slim black chick who's not promiscuous, who's not a 304, who cooks, who cleans, who treats him with respect, who wants to spoil him or spend money on him. The entire black community, including black men, will shame that nigga and say he's insecure for not wanting a fat black chick. Or he's insecure for not wanting a fat black chick with weave. Or he's shamed for not wanting a loud ghetto black chick with a bad attitude. That brother is going to be called insecure and weak in his masculinity. That's what they say. His masculinity is weak, or he's insecure, or he hates himself. So if you're a skinny brother who is in shape and you don't want a fat chick to be in a relationship with you, how is it you hating yourself? And it's not like you're saying you hate fat women. It's just like you don't want a fat woman to be in a relationship with you. And even if you were a fat man, right, that doesn't mean you should be in a relationship with a fat woman. Remember, men are not judged for what we are, who we are, or we're not judged for how good we look. We're judged for what we can do and our abilities. Remember, masculinity is action. It's movement. It's doing. It's creating. It's building. Masculinity and manhood that's why you have something called the 3 P's of masculinity. And 2 of the 3 P's is called provision and protection. Both of those things are required for you to do something, to do. So masculinity is always going to be judged for what you do before it's going to judge you for who you are as an individual, right? Now, as a man, as long as you care about who you are, you know who you are, that's cool, right? Because as a man, you got to create your own identity and your own individuality. But remember, because you're men, your masculinity, our position is what we do, action-driven, forward movements, right? So, for black men now, right? For us, we get shamed and called insecure for not wanting a strong black woman. Or we're not a real man because we want to date a strong black woman. Now, what's a strong black woman? A strong black woman is somebody that's disrespectful, somebody that's going to put their hands on you, somebody that is going to tell you what to do and run your life and all the other goofiness that come with a strong black woman. That's what strong black woman means. See, with black women, they're very subjective when they say things. So a lot of times a black woman now, when they say something, You have to watch what they do and then have them tell you, break it down what you mean by a strong black woman. And then what they'll do is they'll trigger something in black men's masculinity to say that you're not a real man if you can't handle a strong black woman or strong woman. Remember, masculinity is already strong. God built women to be submissive and soft and kind. So as a masculine black man that already has to battle with the chaos of the world, he should not be seeking a woman that's strong, filled with chaos. He should be seeking a woman that is kind, sweet, and submissive to him. That's the balance. See what I'm saying? And then the other shaming tactic that is being used against black men, or has been used against black men, is ain't your mama black. See, most black men, they grew up with a fucked up mother in their house. So every time you don't want to deal with a fucked up black woman, they say, ain't your mama black? What they mean is, ain't your mama fucked up like me? So why you don't want to date a fucked up chick like me when you was raised by a fucked up mother? Because let's face it, a lot of black women was raised by fucked up mothers. And they watched their brothers and siblings, their male brothers, their male cousins, their male uncles, being raised by fucked up people. They watched their father, a so-called quote-unquote good man, get into a relationship with their fucked up mother. So there's a lot of black men that were that happy wife, happy life bullshit that they got from white men, which is stupid. You feel me? Right? So, you know, a lot of these principles that black men adopt, like a real man doesn't complain about women, a real man doesn't argue with women, a real man this and a real man that, they get a real man is just stoic and he's just this zombie-like stoic person and he doesn't respond to anything. He's just a drone robot. Black men get that philosophy from white men. And white men who are happy wife, happy life, a lot of them got into relationships with white women who were feminist. Right? Those white women who were feminists, they socialized black women with those same concepts and ideas. And then black men, because of the pro-black spaces, a lot of the pro-black spaces, they had a lot of feminism in their pro-black, in a lot of those pro-black organizations, like the Nation of Islam, like Black Panther parties. A lot of these pro-black circles in black culture, a lot of them had feminism in it. So it taught a lot of not only does it have white feminism into those pro-black organizations, it has a lot of matriarchal bullshit into it too. So that is what a lot of black bloomers who got who were following a lot of the white bloomers, and a lot of the white bloomers who got what they doing from white women in feminism, right? A lot of black bloomers bloomer men who are happy wife, happy life, raised a lot of their children with feminist ideas and principles and concepts. So now if you're a black boy and you're growing up in a house, your father got into a relationship with a fucked up mother that was just emotionally taxing on that man. And that man was just stoic, and he dealt with what you call strong black woman, which strong black woman means loud, disrespectful, tyrannical, and always trying to overrule that man. So whenever black women today say, why you don't want to deal with a strong black woman like your mother, that's what they mean. Because those black women, they were raised in households where they saw their mothers be fucked up towards the children. Especially if you was a female child, and you grew up in the cities, in these ghettos or in these project housings complex, and you have a single mother, and she's raising nothing but 5 children. She's watching her fucked up mother being fucked up to the male child, yelling at the male child, emasculating the male child, dominating that male child. So now when you're a male boy and you grow up and you don't want to date what you was raised with under your mother, This black woman is going to tell you or shame you to say why you cannot handle a strong black woman or ain't your mama black. See what I'm saying? Because that's how black culture has been raised by. Black culture has been raised by mainly women. So there are two sets of women I want to talk about, right, for this moment. You had the happy wife, happy life women in black culture that I want to say was middle class, like let's say like the Cosbys with Claire and Cliff Huxtable. Claire and Cliff Huxtable, they were middle class. Both of them were doctors. They were lawyer degree. They had their own degrees, but Cliff was a whole simp in his household. Happy wife, happy life, right? Same thing with Gina Martin. Same thing with Fresh Prince with Uncle Phil, right? There was an episode where Uncle Phil told Ashley to come home at 9 p.m. Vivian walks in the room and said, Ashley, you could come home at 11 p.m. Instead of Uncle Phil saying, no, Vivian, I said 9 p.m., Uncle Phil just let that rock. That right there is, he was a simp in that moment because Uncle Phil set down a rule and his wife overruled that rule and Uncle Phil just let that slide, right? So you had the upper class, the middle class, happy wife, happy life boomers. Then you had the lower class, inner city, low income, project housing people. This is where the project housing, welfare state, this is where a lot of the single mothers was raising children. So you had two groups that fucked up, two groups of bloomers that fucked up the space where we are right now. You had the middle class bloomer black men who were happy wife, happy life. Then you had the project housing, inner city ghetto. If you're out here in New York, project housings. If you're down south, some backwater place where, you're raised by a single mother. The single mother has 5 kids from 2 different dudes to get welfare from. So that's what you have in black culture, right? So now, when you have one set of kids, black men, being raised by a happy wife, happy life, and then you have another set of black men being raised by a single mother, it causes problems because both of those households are being ruled by women. And a lot of the men, the bloomer men that were in a happy wife, happy life situation. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose. Give me 1 second. Oh. Shit, I got nothing to blow my nose with. Give me 1 second. Sorry. See, I would open up the chat, but I can't stand trolls. I cannot stand trolls. Like, trolls to me are broke losers who don't have a life. And I'm glad that trolls don't have a life. Because all trolls are going to do, that's just who they are. They're going to troll the job. They're going to troll the girlfriend they have in a relationship. A lot of incels and losers that troll people's chat. But anyway, but yeah. So the single mother household ruled by a woman, and then the happy wife, happy life middle class household from the bloomer generation ruled by women. So what those households are getting, they're getting standards, rules, or regulations from women. The men are being raised by women. You see what I'm saying? Right? Now, I would say that the household when you're raised by a single mother from the project housings, right? That is more tyrannical than the middle class happy wife, happy life situation. At least with the happy wife, happy life situation, you're not in squalor. You're still making money. But still, the boomer black man from the happy wife, happy life situation, he stood there and took all the bullshit that he got from the woman that he was with. You feel me? But to the main topic, right? I was just going into how a lot of black men are raised to take their social cues and their masculinity from their mothers, right? And now when they go to the dating market to date women, and now he has a preference or he has a dating preference now, and his preference says, I don't want this type of problematic woman, those women can now shame him by calling him insecure into dating them. Right? This is what happens when black men are raised by their women. Because he's taking his masculine social cues, and how he leads from what his women say, what his mother say. And that he's able to be shamed and baited into doing things because women have been dictating black masculinity for, I want to say, the past 70 years, since feminism. Right? Now, let's look up the definition of what insecure is, right? Because they'll tell black men you're insecure for not wanting to date a 304, you not wanting to date a promiscuous woman, you not wanting to date a black woman that is fat or wears weave, right? One of the other shaming tactics is they'll tell black men you're broke because you don't want to date a chick with weave. Right? And when they say you're broke, what black women are doing is that they're trying to pull on your providing nature as a man. Right? So when they say you're broke because you don't want to do A, B, and C for her, they're tugging on your providing nature as a man to pay for something of that woman. Right? The thing is, you're not supposed to, even if you're cool with a chick that wears weave, you're not supposed to be paying for no weave of a chick that's not your wife who hasn't earned her position with you in a relationship. You see what I'm saying? But look what insecure means, right? Not firmly fixed, liable to give away or break, an insecure footbridge, able to be broken into or illicitly accessed. Of a job or position from which removal or exposure is always possible, badly paid and insecure jobs. Of a person, not confident or assured, uncertain and anxious, a rather insecure man. So it can be unconfident, lacking confidence, lacking in self-confidence, not self-assured, right? Let's look into Merriam-Webster's dictionary and then the Cambridge dictionary, right? A deficient in assurance, beset by fear and anxiety, always felt insecure in a group of strangers, not highly stable or well adjusted, an insecure marriage, not confident or sure, uncertain, feeling somewhat insecure of this reception, not adequately guarded or sustained, unsafe, insecure. You get what I'm saying. So if a man is saying he doesn't want to be in a relationship with a fat black chick, he doesn't want to be in a relationship with a 304 promiscuous women, that's not him being insecure. That's actually him being secure because he know what he don't want. See, a secure man knows what's for him and he knows what's not for him. He knows that a 304 is not for him. He knows that a promiscuous woman is not for him. He knows that a fat black woman is not for him. And he doesn't have to explain himself or justify why he doesn't want to date fat black women or black women with weave or 304. He doesn't have to explain anything to you. That's just something he doesn't want. So just because you have a preference doesn't mean that you're insecure about something. Right? And then let me say this about insecurities, right? There's insecurities that you could do something, you could do about. Like, if I'm fat, insecure about being fat, I can hit the gym. If I'm insecure about not knowing how to fight, I can take an MMA class. If I'm insecure about speaking in public, I can always take a public speech class or a speaking class or communication class, right? But if I'm 5'10" and I'm insecure about being short, there's really nothing I could do about me being, I'm 5'10" already. There's nothing I could do about that. I could just be confident about being 5'10". The only thing I could do is work out, eat properly, and be in the best shape I could possibly be with what I got, right? Now, when it comes to a relationship with a woman, you should not be insecure about that woman leaving you or her cheating on you. Because at the end of the day, that woman leaving you or cheating on you is not 100% always your fault. Because at the end of the day, that woman chose to cheat on you or that woman chose to leave you, right? I think that's why a lot of men feel insecure about certain things when it comes to women, because our masculinity has been so tied into how women responds to you, which is another problem with society. As a man, you cannot control how that woman responds to you. That woman's going to respond to you based upon what she thinks, how she feels. You feel me? She's not going to just respond to you. She's going to respond to herself first before she responds to you. Right? And just because she views you in a certain way doesn't mean that's who you are. This is how she views you. Right? Her having 100 bodies is a reflection of her choices and how she's been responding to her own ideas, thoughts, and how she responds to her own autonomy. Right? So a lot of times men feel insecure because, I gave this chick dick and she still cheated. And a lot of men are taught, if she cheated on you, maybe you wasn't clapping her cheeks right. And that may or may not be true. You may have been clapping her cheeks 5 times for the week, but it just wasn't enough for her. You see what I'm saying? Right? And because men are always held to the standard or criteria of performing for women, but women are not held to the standard of performing for men. Women are just held to the standard of just looking good and just being there and just showing up. Right? So that's why I think a lot of men feel insecure about themselves when it comes to women, is because society puts 100% of the blame and the pressure on the man for why that relationship failed, which is a logical flaw, because it's 2 people in a relationship, one leading and one following. Right? Now, the leader, you could inspire that person all day. You could tell that person what to do all day. But it's on the follower's responsibility to follow your instructions. Like the old saying goes, lead, follow, and get the fuck out the way. If you know as a woman you cannot follow that man's instructions, leave him the fuck alone and get out his way. So another woman who's willing to follow him can find him and follow him. You feel me? But let's go into it, right? So, if you notice, black men are called insecure for setting certain standards or criteria. What are some of those standards? Let's use the passport bros, for example, right? The passport bros, the reason for why they said, let's talk about black American men who are passport bros, right? And I'm a Jamaican nigga sticking up for black American men, right? I'm sticking up for my brothers, my black diaspora brothers, right? Black American men, well, you can say Jamaican men too, because a lot of times we deal with a lot of the same bullshit over here with Jamaican women, right? And with Jamaican men, they shame Jamaican men too when we date outside our race. You see what I'm saying? So let's go there. What are some of the standards, what are some of the complaints about passport bros that they're saying? The black American passport bros, they're saying, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm just tired of encountering black women who don't want to follow my lead or who reject my leadership. They said everything I was supposed to be doing as a man is supposed to be doing. Black women in black culture still rejected my leadership, still did not want to follow me. That's what the passport bros are saying. Passport bros are saying when I was dating black women, they didn't like me for watching anime. They didn't like me because I wasn't a street ninja. They didn't like me because I was a nerd. They didn't like me because I wasn't sagging my pants. I wasn't some super thug. You have a lot of passport bros or nerds that take MMA classes and can whoop a lot of street niggas' asses. But black women still don't find those brothers attractive or sexually attractive. Because one of the things that they're not telling you about the dating game is that a woman has to find you sexually attractive first before she can notice you, right? I think there was a study that says that if a woman is not attracted to you, she doesn't even know you exist. You're invisible to her if she's not attracted to you. Go look up that study. I wish I could. I'm gonna see if I can look up that study on the PC, right? So a lot of the passport bros, they said, well, I'm gonna go overseas. I'm gonna go to either one of these Asian countries like Thailand or China or Japan or wheresoever, or I'm gonna go to one of the African countries, or I'm gonna go to one of the Caribbean countries and find me a wife. Why? Because a lot of those women in a lot of those Asian countries like Thailand and let me blow my nose again. Hold on. Sorry. A lot of in those Asian countries, right? Because their men are patriarchal, those women are more traditional. Right, so if you're a traditional black man from America, and you're looking for traditional women, and you're in a dating market in the Western space, and most of the Western space are feminist, even your black women, and they're rejecting your traditional leadership, right? Because a lot of black women, they broke the traditional social contract where if you're promiscuous, the consequences you don't get traditional man. Or if you have kids already, you can't get a man that don't have kids. That was the social traditional contract. You have to cook, you have to clean, you have to A, B, C, and D. And a lot of these passport bros were being traditional and willing to do these things, but black women were refusing to do those things. Right? Sparkle, sparkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Black women came out and said, I don't need no man, I don't need no dusty broke nigga. Black women came out and said, you're strong and independent, right? Black women rejected traditional black male masculinity, following white women and their feminism. So black American men said, okay, cool. You don't want us. You don't want to be traditional. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to go overseas and find more traditional women. And at first, black men were not saying anything. They were just doing it. And they were finding success. So then you have some passport bros that came up and said, yo, black men, we find a better option. I'm over here in the Philippines. I'm over here in Thailand. I'm over here in Africa. I'm over here in the Caribbean. And I found me traditional women. And there are plenty of passport bros on the internet that are married. They're married and they're having successful relationships. Right? Those passport bros, they're not saying they're not willing to be traditional. They're saying they're only going to be traditional with a woman that's going to be traditional. Right? So what happened was black women came out with the soft girl era. Right? Well, at first what happened was black women, they were shaming those men for saying, you black men are losers. You black men are lame and square. But I thought you black women said you didn't want those brothers. You already said they were losers. And how were they losers if they were able to go to another country and find better women and win the game that way? Obviously, they're winners. Right? So you can't call them losers. Right? So, with the passport bros, they were winning. And they had black women in checkmate. Kevin Samuels had them in check. Passport bros put them in checkmate. And then what happened was, you had a lot of black American men who were hoe helpers. Shout out to Mr. Fantastic. Hoe helpers, or 3 or 4 helpers. You had a lot of black men who were son husbands. You had a lot of black men who were simp. You had a lot of the players in the backs, right? So what happened was from the black men's side, right, in black culture, black American men who were shaming the black American passport bros, the black women were saying, oh shit, we're losing our men because we're not being traditional. So this is where that soft guard era came about. Even though black women were there full of shit with that soft guard era, but it still put them in checkmate. So what black American men started to do was, because the passport bros, it was affecting the black American men's, as I call pussy bottom line, right? Because what was happening in black American culture was you had a lot of the players, the backs, the 3 or 4 helpers that were benefiting from black women being promiscuous with their box following feminism. So I want to tell a lot of you players and you backs this shit right here. The reason why you have so much access to black pussy is not because of your game. It's because of feminism. White women, because feminism preaches women to be promiscuous, right? And the reason why feminism is preaching women to be promiscuous is because them being promiscuous goes against one of the rules that the patriarchal men set, which is you cannot be promiscuous. That's why they were doing it. So what happened was when the passport bros made that move and it put black women in check, right? Black women was talking about soft guard era. All it needed was those soft guard era black women was to hold themselves accountable, come to the front of the church, and admit their sins to the church. That was it. All black men had to do was say, okay, cool. We're going to be traditional, but you got to cook clean and can't be promiscuous. So what the black American men did was, to get back their pussy bottom line, they flipped the chessboard. They flipped the chessboard by using the same female shaming tactics. You have a lot of black men in these spaces who call themselves players and backs and day coaches, calling black men weak in their masculinity for being passport bros and going overseas to find better women. You have a lot of dating coaches, you have a lot of players and backs calling passport bros insecure, using female shaming tactics to shame other black men into dating the garbage black woman that's here. See, if you're a traditional guy, black man, you're not supposed to be dating non-traditional women. I'm going to say that again. If you're a traditional black male, you're not supposed to be dating non-traditional black women, or non-traditional women, period. Right? But you're not supposed to be dating non-traditional women. If you're a traditional black male, you're supposed to be only dating and getting into relationships with traditional women that cook, clean, and are non-promiscuous. You feel me? So you saw black American men who were on YouTube, black American YouTubers, dating coaches, players, backs, and pimps, using feministic female shaming tactics, not because they actually believed in masculinity, but to shame those men on the behalf of the women. So now, when you call a man insecure, those black passport bros insecure, what goes to the black woman's mind is that those men are losers. Anyway. So, for example, in black culture, right? Let me use this as an example. In black culture, when you call somebody a sucker or you call them a trick, it usually means that this is somebody that you can run game on and extract resources from this person, or you can get this person to do what you want them to do. Or you can, like, for example, a sucker in black culture means I can do what I want with this person. Or a trick in black culture means that I can get money and resources out of this person without having to do anything back, which means I can hustle this person really easy, right? So if I get up on YouTube and I call the passport bros a sucker, in your brain, they can actually not be suckers or tricks. But because I call them trick and sucker, the programming goes to your brain that these men are not to be respected. So when you have Black American men shaming the passport bros by calling them suckers and tricks, that's what the programming with the black women's that was what was going through Black American women's brains. That those men are not to be respected, so we don't really have to change ourselves up or step our game up to get those men back. So that's why Black American men did it. That's why Black American men use female manipulation tactics to shame other black men who are passport bros who went overseas to find more traditional women. The Black American men on YouTube who are player max and dating coaches, they did that because they don't want black women to be traditional. They want black women to keep being non-traditional because a lot of the dating coaches, they're into open relationships. They're into a lot of the players, max, and non-monogamous black dudes. They're not into traditional relationships. They're more into sex culture, hookup culture, 304 culture. And in black culture, you have this 304 culture that's been going on for a long time. Right? And a lot of those black men who are non-traditional, they benefited from that. Right? And that's because a lot of the black men who are traditional, they did not have a platform to speak up and talk or complain or make any arguments to put black women in check. Right? So because of that, a lot of the black men who are non-traditional, they benefited from the access to black women's pussy. Right? So that's why the hate is so much so against the Black American passport bros. Right? Because Black American passport bros, they had a standard of how they want the women to be. The women didn't give them their standard, and they went to go find women that meets their standard, which is very masculine to do. As a leader, as a man in your masculinity, that's what you're supposed to do. You have a lot of Black American men telling black men who are passport bros, oh, you niggas is weak because you didn't want to stay in America and deal with the garbage black women. Or you didn't want to stay in America and deal with the trashy black women that's in America. You mean to tell me that my masculinity is weak because I don't want to stay in America and date women who don't meet my criteria? And then you have a lot of male dating coaches that would tell you, well, you're insecure because you don't want to be in a relationship with a 304. How am I insecure for that? That 304, that promiscuous chick, is not something up to to my criteria. A lot of the male dating coaches, what they'll do is, and the Anger Man pointed this out. The Anger Man said that one of a feminist tactic is telling the men that if you want to set a standard, you have to be the standards that you set. In other words, no, right? Say I tell a woman that she can't be promiscuous. I, as a man, can't be promiscuous. But that's not how leadership goes, right? The reason why, as men, we can be promiscuous and women can't be promiscuous is because it's harder for men to be promiscuous than it is for women to be promiscuous. Because at the end of the day, women control the access to box, men don't. It's more dangerous for women to be promiscuous than it is for men to be promiscuous. Right? Women, their vagina, right? Their vagina can carry germs. Right? So, for example, because my Johnson is on the outside of me, my Johnson and my ball sacks, my whatever you want to call it, my basketball is there on the outside of me. There's nothing, what you call festering, right? There's no germs building up inside of me. For women, there's germs building up inside of women. That's why they have to keep going to get their what they call the OBGYN to get checked. This is why they get a lot of yeast infection. Even when a woman is not having sex, say she's a virgin, she can still catch certain infections from that area because her sexual organs are on the inside of her already. As men, our sexual organs are on the outside of us, right? And we can easily go to the doctor and get that shit fixed. It's a lot more difficult for women to get that. Go look at biology, or go study how women carry how do women catch germs in their private areas. So it's a lot more dangerous for them to be promiscuous than it is for men to be promiscuous. See what I'm saying? Right? And second, because the man is in charge, I can set standards for the subordinate to follow. That don't mean that I have to follow those standards, right? Because as the leader of my, as the king or the leader of my community, I have standards for myself that I have to follow, right? Generals in the military do it. Generals, they have their own set of standards to follow, and they set standards and rules and guidelines for the privates and the sergeants and the people or the ranks that's under that general to follow, right? So in other words, the general can give a private a command, hey, go over there and take that city. That doesn't mean that the general has to do the same thing that the private is doing. Because the general's job is to give orders and commands. The private's job is to follow, or the subordinate's job is to follow those commands and follow those orders. So I, as a man, the general, the head of the household, my job is to give commands and instructions to the woman. The woman's job is to follow those instructions. Just because I'm giving her some instructions to do, don't mean that I'm following those. I have to follow those instructions. I'm telling her what to do. See what I'm saying? So I could tell my women to be promiscuous. I could tell women to not be promiscuous, but not follow those standards myself. Why? Because if you're telling women, so this is the dynamic between that, right? If men are pursuing sex anyway, and women control the access to sex, and I tell women to not be promiscuous, even if I as a man is going to be promiscuous, and she's being more chaste, guess what I'm not going to be able to do? Smash. So even if I wanted to be promiscuous and have sex with women because they control the access to sex, I'm not going to get sex so easy. The only way I'm going to get sex from women is A, if she found me attractive, and B, she want to give me some box. And if most women are being promiscuous and chaste, whether a man is promiscuous or not, he's still not going to get a lot of box like that. See what I'm saying? So one of the feminist tactics is that to tell the men, well, if you don't want a promiscuous woman, you yourself can't be promiscuous. That's not how that works. You know, that's how feminism has defined what leadership is. Right? A king can screw all the women he wants, but his queen can't screw all the dudes that she wants. Why? Because I'm the fucking king and I tell you what to do. And I tell you what you can't do. That's just the position. And as the woman who's being my subordinate, you do what I tell you to do. Or if you don't want to do what I tell you to do, go about your business. So what a lot of the dating coaches have done, or a lot of the son husbands, a lot of the hoe helpers, a lot of the pussy bottom line niggas, what they have done is they use a lot of feminism or female manipulation tactics to try to manipulate the men to do what the women want them to do. Why? Because niggas like Dr. Umar Johnson, if some real patriarchal men was there, was a black member in the community, Dr. Umar Johnson couldn't be influencing the women to do shit. The players in the max, they couldn't affect the women if the traditional men put their fucking foot down. You feel me? So a lot of black women in black culture couldn't be so easily influenced, or resources couldn't be taken from them if traditional black men were on the field. So, for example, a male lion prevents the female lions, or prevents what's going on, Ross? The female lions or the male lions protect the female lions from the influences of the hyenas. Because remember, you have male hyenas too. Shout out to the Angry Man for coming up with that concept about the hyena analogy, right? So, Dr. Umar Johnson, the players, the Max, the Sun Husbands, the Hoe Helpers, the Yada Awakenings, those are the hyenas, the male hyenas. And because there are not enough traditional male lions on the field to protect the lionesses from the influences of the male hyenas are always going to take resources from the lionesses. They're always going to steal the cubs away from the lionesses. If you get that analogy, see what I'm saying? All right. So, right. So that's why those dudes are doing that. The black men you see on YouTube who going against black men who are holding the women accountable, black men who are arguing and making complaints about black women, black men who are saying they're passport bros, right? Those men who are going against traditional men, those men don't give a shit about manhood and masculinity. They're just not going to say it out front. Their true intention is to keep black women promiscuous in 3 or 4, so they can keep getting free pussy from black women, basically. And now the traditional man, if because his standard is that he don't date promiscuous women, right? Right? Black women are gonna say, okay, cool. Right. See, the thing is, Ross, you got guys out here that are not simps, but because their lifestyle is, they want to smash 3 or 4s, they want to deal with promiscuous women, they're going to defend the promiscuous women. So the guys out here that are not simps, so example, because I'm a traditional dude, so I'm not going to date a chick that's being promiscuous out here. That's my standard. If I get up on a YouTube and I say, my influence is to get women to be more ladylike and be more like a good woman, the players of Max who are into promiscuous women, they're going to dirty Mac on me and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, or call me weak and insecure. You see what I'm saying? The reason being is because if more traditional men like me step up and push out our standards and hold women accountable to those standards, right? It's going to take away, or I think what those guys that like promiscuous women believe, I think they believe that by us being traditional and setting those standards, it's going to take away the pussy bottom line from them. So what they do is they get up on YouTube and they join the women in the female manipulation and shaming tactics against traditional niggas. And let me say this, right? You providing and taking care of a woman that follows your lead, respects your instructions, obeys and respects your instructions, cares for you and caters to you, that's not you being a simp, bro. That's because you're in a relationship with a good woman and she loves you, and when she asks you for $200 to go do her fingernails, it's not you being a simp. because you're in a relationship with a woman that respects your leadership. So in that case, when you're with a woman that respects what you tell her to do, she respects you when you critique her and correct her. When she asks you for $200, that's her reward, right? Taking a chick out on a date to Shake Shack, or taking a chick out on a date to a decent restaurant. Now, I'm not talking about a chick on the first date, right? A chick on the first date, and you taking her out to Shake Shack. Fuck it. Let's say you took her out on a $150 date. Say, call it like that. That doesn't make you a simp or a trick, because that really depends upon the woman, right? See, if you take a chick out on a date, on a $150 date, but she likes you, she respects you, she gives you box or whatever. When you correct her, she corrects herself. When you check on something, she checks herself. She follows your instructions. That's not you being a trick or a sucker or simp, right? You only become a trick or sucker or simp if when you found out that this chick is not following your instructions, she doesn't respect you, right? And when I say she doesn't respect you or follow your instructions is that if you tell her that I'm going to this date, I'm going to this $150 dinner date at 7:30, and you get to her house by 7:25 and she's not ready by 7:30, and you still take her to the date, then you're a sucker, because she didn't follow your instructions. But now if she follows your instructions, you pull up to a house or to a crib by 7:25, and she's into your car by 7:29, that's a good woman right there. She respects your instructions. As a matter of fact, she was a minute early because she really wants to go on that date with you. So the reward for her being on time is she gets to go to that $150 dinner date. Right? You feel me? So no, that like and second, if you taking a chick to Shake Shack because Shake Shack is somewhere that you like to eat, that's like one of your routines. You like going to Shake Shack, or you just like going to good restaurants and eating. That's not you being a sucker. That's you being yourself. You like going to this restaurant, and you said, man, I like this chick. I want to take her to this restaurant that I normally go to. That's not you being a sucker or simp. How would be you being a sucker or simp is now you doing something for a chick that you don't know that you would normally not do. Like say you like going to Shake Shack, but you don't like going to Smash Burger. This chick say, I want to go to Smash Burger, even though you're telling her I want to go to Shake Shack. Right at that moment, she's not respecting you where you want to go. But now you capitulate and go to Smash Burger. Then you're a sucker. Because now, instead of you taking the lead or just she not meeting your standards, you leave her alone. A Sigma? I don't have time to break that down today. You can say a Sigma is like an alpha, just introverted. Alphas are more extroverted. They're flashy and they expose themselves. Sigmas are more introverted, right? A Sigma has the same leadership-like qualities. They have the same. They're like on the same. They're say like a Sigma is tails, an Alpha is heads. So they're two sides of the same coin. It's just that the Alpha is more extroverted, the Sigma is more introverted, but they're on the same high level, right? But that's in a nutshell. That's something you should go look up for yourself, Ross. Right? But right. Well, back to the main point that I was talking about, right? This is why black men get into a lot of relationships with women that they should not be in with, because There's shame into calling black men insecure if you don't want to deal with a fat black chick that you know you don't want to be in a relationship with. There's nothing wrong with a fat black woman. It's just that if I'm a brother and I don't like fat 300-pound black chick, I'm not insecure if I don't want that type of chick. That chick is unattractive to me. And now when this dude cheats on that type of chick, or he's miserable in that relationship now, right? Because a miserable man has a miserable. Let me say this: a miserable man provides miserable structure and leadership, right? So now, if I get into a relationship with a chick that I don't want to be with because you're shaming me for being insecure, that's not going to benefit me, and that's not going to benefit that woman. This is why a lot of relationships fail in the black community. This is why a lot of children, or babies, or what you call ineffective black children are born, because black men get into relationships with women that they know they shouldn't be in with. Then they have a baby by that child, and then they don't like each other, and then they break up. Or that woman cheats on that guy and puts him on child support. Because black men are shamed by calling them insecure for being in relationships with a black chick that they shouldn't be in with, that relationship with. And two, let's go objectively, right? Objectively, a black woman, or any woman, but because I'm a black man, I'm talking about black men, a black woman that's being disrespectful, trying to rule over that man, trying to dictate how that man operates, trying to tell that man what to do, is not good for a black man. Why? Because as men, our job, we're the masculine ones. We're supposed to rule over that woman. We're supposed to dictate to that woman how she operates. Because she's supposed to submit to that superior force, the black man, who is in charge, who is her superior. You feel me? So objectively, it's not good for a black man to be in a relationship with a quote-unquote strong black woman who's being disrespectful and overruling of his authority. Objectively speaking, that's not good. Right? And that relationship is going to eventually fail because that black woman is not going to respect that black man that's allowing her to rule over him. You see this with a lot of Jamaican couples. You see this with a lot of black American couples, especially with Jamaican couples. No Jamaican woman is going to respect no Jamaican man that's going to make her boss him around. She's going to look at him as weak, and she's going to take him for a ride. That's why a lot of Jamaican black men, like, we're very stoic and strong. I don't want to use the word stoic. I wanted to go through what stoic means first, and then I'll use it properly, right? There's why a lot of Jamaican black men, we're very stern in our masculinity because you have to be that way to let this woman know, hey, what's your bullshit not going to be tolerated. You feel me? So, but objectively, no black man is supposed to be in a relationship with a strong black woman that's being disrespectful to him or is overriding his authority in that household. No black man is supposed to be in a relationship with a woman like that. You feel me? And because black women refuse to submit and be what she needs to be, black men are finally saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Now, why is that happening? Like I said earlier in my live stream, if you go rewind it, I said that feminism, starting from the women's suffrage group, starting from white women, they have socialized black women to be rebellious against black men. Why is that? Because if a woman is following the standards of a man, she's following his patriarchal leadership, right? And the reason why there has been an effort to shame black men's standards down and to shame us into thank you, Russ, and to shame black men into a subordinate position to the black woman is because they don't want a patriarchal system in the black community. See, white women, it's not that they want to get rid of the white male patriarchy. Really? They want to just be equal to the white man's patriarchy. And it's like white men and white women had to deal with each other. They said, okay, look here, white woman. We gonna give you A, B, C, and D, but we want you to go over there and teach black women to go against the black male patriarchy. And dumbass white men fell for that deal. And guess what the white woman said? Okay, we'll go for the deal, white man, but we're going to destroy you too while we destroying him. Because what happens is you don't want a black male patriarchy in America, because whether it's black or white, it's still a patriarchal thing. Patriarchy, you have to separate patriarchy from race. Patriarchy by itself is how those men dominate and rule over that society. Race is just based upon a group of people. Any group of people can be patriarchal. The Asian man can be patriarchal. The white man can be patriarchal. The Indian man can be patriarchal. The African man can be patriarchal. So in America, if white women get rid of the white patriarchy, they damn sure not going to want a black patriarchy. So they got to kill two birds with one stone. Right? So it sounds like to me that white men made a deal with white women, and white women said, okay, cool, we're going to make this deal, but we're going to clap you too. So this is why you see a lot of the white women rebelling against white men today. Right? Even though I believe they made a deal with white men to go after the black community. Right? Because black men, we don't have power to go after the white women like that. Because if we go after the white woman like that to battle her feminism, all that's going to happen is she's going to be protected by her white man. So we couldn't go after her like that. Right? Hold up. Right? So we couldn't go after the white woman like that. Feel what I'm saying? So what happened was, so what it really is now, this has been compounded over the decades, almost 170 to 100 years of black women using shaming tactics, using a lot of the laws of the government that a lot of white men passed to put black men in a subordinate position. Because really and truly, even in today, even if you're the head of your household, there's really nothing you can do to punish your woman if she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. And I'm not talking about physically or whooping her ass. To do a simple shit like not buying her something for her birthday, or not buying her, spending money on whatever gifts she has, or taking some kind of financial thing you was doing for her. If you do that, that's called financial abuse. If you raise your voice at her, that's called emotional abuse, mental abuse. If she's about to hit you and you just restrain her hands and put her hands behind her back and get a bit aggressive with her, that's called physical abuse. And she get to call the police on you. You know what I'm saying? So there's very little what a man can do to punish the woman who's his subordinate in his household. And I'm not talking about like busting her ass and kicking her in the stomach. I'm talking about like, say you're at Shake Shack and one of the employees disrespects the customer or not following any instructions. What would you do? You reprimand that person, you dock their pay, you suspend them from the work for a couple of days, or you fire them. And to this day and age, if your black woman is doing something, not doing the proper job she's supposed to be doing in your household, and you divorce her, she doesn't get punished after you divorce her. She gets rewarded after you divorce her. She can have your shit after you divorce her for being disrespectful. Black women are being rewarded. Well, women in general, but black women specifically. If she's being disrespectful to you in the context of a marriage and you divorce her, she gets half your shit. She gets rewarded for it, not punished for it. There's very little you can do. That's why what I respect about the day coaches and even the Angry Man is that they tell you what to know, the signs you should know from the beginning of if this chick is going to be disrespectful or not, so you not to deal with her from the beginning. You feel me? And then how to check her, how to correct her, so she knows how to deal with you moving forward. And if she can't take correction or critique or not listening to what you have to say, you leave that person alone from the very beginning during the dating phase. Which, in my opinion, right, I don't even think that matters. Because what I've witnessed and seen, I've witnessed women be a good woman to this guy up to the guy in the relationship she's with, up until she gets pregnant, then she becomes a different person. Craziest shit in the world. Feel me? So really and truly, there's a lot of issues with the women, but because society doesn't hold a woman up to a standard when it comes to the context of a relationship, she just continues to be a walking problem. And when traditional men try to point it out, other men shame those traditional men for pointing it out. And those men who are doing it, they don't realize that you're doing exactly what the feminists want you to do. Because when you're critiquing women, when you're correcting women, when you're because that's what a patriarchal king does. That's what a leader does. It critiques the subjects, it tells the subjects what they're doing, and then assigns blame to the subjects when they're a problem in his kingdom or his society or the community. Now, because if we do that, it puts us in a patriarchal space. And that goes against the feministic, democratic society that we have today. Which doesn't make any sense because now women are in a pseudo position of equality towards men. Meaning that women can have their own homes, their own houses, because that's the core of feminism. The core of feminism was women fighting to be able to do what the men are doing, which is to work, vote, make the same amount of money as men, etc., etc., etc. Even be able to choose, because remember, before time, your father chose what man that woman is to be in a relationship with. Today, women get to choose the type of man they want to be in a relationship with. So you have to hold the woman accountable to performing in a relationship. If she's going to be able to, if she wants to get into a relationship and she wants to choose a type of man that she wants to follow, she has to be held accountable to that man that she wants to follow. That's the thing. You hold the men accountable to a standard, but you have to hold the women accountable to that man. The problem in black culture is that you got a lot of players, pimps, and backs out here. Pushing player back and pimp standards. So now if I'm a traditional man, and I come out and say, this is my traditional standards, my traditional standard goes against their player, pimp, and back standard. And because of black culture, every man is fucking subjective. There's no objective rule or guidelines or constitutions that even though as individuals, this is what we follow. Right? That's one of the fundamental problems with black men, right? Is that we're all doing our own thing. So now, because we're all doing our own thing, when I say do our own thing, You got niggas who are traditional, and you got niggas who are non-traditional. So because of that, black women don't have really a solid influence that they can follow. They're following different influences that is being presented to them. And because of black culture, the pimp and black culture is the bigger influence than the traditional one. That culture is being pushed, or that influence is being pushed towards the women, towards black women. And the women are the reflection of what the influences they choose to follow. But said it again. Black women in general, but black women specifically, they are the reflection of the influences that they choose to follow. So in other words, now, if the only influences they have to choose is playing back, that's what they're going to become the reflection of. Because that's what the only option that it appears to be. And in the black culture, what we do is we shame the traditional niggas. We shame the niggas that make money. We shame the niggas that are successful. We call them lame, suckers, squares, and tricks. And as I explained earlier, these the words like trick, sucker, insecure, all these shaming words, as soon as you say them, what goes through your brain? That this man is not to be respected. So the women say, this word goes to the women's brain and say, I'm not to respect this man, so I'm not going to do what it takes to follow this man or earn this man anyway. This is coming from a lot of the players. So a lot of the players, they're breaking their own rules by dirty backing on traditional niggas. I'm going to keep saying that. I said that this in prior lives before. I'm going to say that in this one. Right? So that's the fundamental problem I see with black men in black culture. Right? It's because there's so many different men influencing different shit. You have the 50-50 niggas, you got the 100% niggas, you got the player back niggas, you got the simp ass niggas, you got the weaker male niggas, which are the simps, the son husbands, the whole cleaner uppers. You know, like how you have the hungry hippos, you have the hungry hoe helpers, the hoe picker uppers, right? So because of these things, you have so many different influences in the black culture. Now, I don't mind a nigga that wanted to be a player back or pimp. I don't mind a nigga that want to be 50-50. I don't mind a nigga that want to do 100%. But what the agreement that black men should come to is that no matter what, black women have to respect black men. You have to respect black masculinity, no matter what the form comes into. It shows itself. In other words, so if a black woman is going to a player saying that this traditional is insecure because the traditional nigga didn't want to date her because she was walking outside the house naked, the player should not dirty back on the traditional nigga. Instead, that player should say, well, look here, baby girl. That's how that man runs his house. That's his standards. And he did the right thing by not dating you because you would not meet his standards or his criteria. That's how the player should talk. That's how players should talk if they really did respect manhood and masculinity. You respect how your brother wants to operate. And you should not allow a woman to disrespect their brother by getting you to dirty back on that brother, to get you to disrespect that brother. Right? Just like you players want traditional niggas to respect you and your manhood and how you want to operate as a player or into sex culture or into whatever you want to operate into or non-monogamy, respect the monogamous niggas. And secondly, last time I checked, America is built off a tradition, like the rest of the world, right? What's a traditional relationship, or what's a nuclear family? Monogamous relationship, one man to one woman. That is what the foundation of America has been, and that foundation is what given America its massive success that we have today. So to all the non-monogamous, new age, sex culture people, your lifestyle is what destroyed the Roman Empire, right? The traditional lifestyle is what gave you the America that you have today. So the people, traditional men and women that want to be traditional, is what's maintaining America today. To all the sex culture people, the non-monogamous people, or the open relationship people. The traditional people is carrying your punk ass. So the traditional people have a right to influence other people to keep being traditional, to keep this society that we call America going. Because like with the Roman Empire, and if you go study it, a lot of other empires, they fell because of what? Sexual debauchery. How did a lot of the cities in the Bible fall? How did Sodom and Gomorrah fall? Debauchery. God literally dropped a bomb on Sodom and Gomorrah. Because of what? Sexual debauchery. You notice that a lot of the countries, including America, that are more traditional, they do a lot better than the countries that's into sexual debauchery. Look, like, so if you're an open relationship type of dude and you're upset, you're in a country that pushes traditional monogamous relationships or influences, yes, but nigga, why would I not keep pushing a formula that works and it's what's successful? A traditional relationship is what's more successful than the non-monogamous one. It's why we have lights and water. It's why we have a massive civilization that we have. So of course I'm going to push monogamy. Of course, if I see you being non-monogamous, I'm gonna say, "Oh, that's weird." You're in my house. You're in a house that was built brick by brick off of traditional and monogamous relationships. And if you keep removing those bricks, guess what's going to happen to that society? It's going to fall. So I have to keep influencing other people to contribute to the foundation of a traditional society, to keep this society we call America going for the next 1,000 years, the next millennium. So in other words, lead, follow, and get the... My fault. In other words, lead, follow, and get the fuck out the way. Right? Well, first of all, to answer Ross's question, all this stoic shit, not expressing your thoughts and what you want in life, is cut that stoic bullshit out, Ross. All that stoic shit about not complaining about your environment, not speaking about the problems you see in your community, fuck that bullshit. As long as the woman is going to be in your kingdom and your castle, and she's your subordinate, you got to tell them what to do. Damn. Catching a cold, I think. Right? As long as the women are going to benefit from your house that you built, your masculinity, you have every goddamn right to tell them what to do. Express your thoughts and be fully transparent about how they're going to operate in your house. Let your standards and your preference be known. That is also masculinity and leadership. Telling them what to do. Well, the ones who ain't listening, don't give them a relationship. Don't give them a relationship. That's about the only thing you can do as far as on the dating and mating level, right? Because until a lot of the laws change to be more balanced towards the male, right? What you're going to continue to have is the reason why the women are not listening is because they know they have a lot of feminist laws on the books to protect them from being stupid. Well, no, protect them while they're being stupid. So that's why, right? But as far as the dating and banning is going, you talk and let your standards be known. And don't let no other man tell you how to operate or what to do, especially if they're non-traditional. Don't let the thoughts and opinions of non-traditional men affect your traditional standards and how you want to operate in your tradition. Come on to YouTube and speak. Talk your mind like I'm talking, right? But as a man, you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. So if you're saying you're a traditional dude and you're dating this chick and you find out that she's not traditional, don't date her. You should cut her off. You shouldn't even approach a woman that's dressed half-ass naked. You see what I'm saying? Now, mind you, Ross, in order to be a traditional dude, you have to be making money. You have to be making money. Part of being a provider is you have to provide, or part of being a patriarch is that you have to provide not only your women, but your family, your children with resources. But you got to provide yourself with resources first. But being a provider and a protector, and even a procreator, is about you, the man, yourself first, right? Because out of being a provider and protector, you're going to gain a lot of life skills that you can use to benefit yourself, right? The idea about being a provider is taking the elements as a man around you, forging them with fire, and then creating, in other words, it's like teaching a man how to fish. Once you a man know how to fish for food, for resources, for money, you can provide yourself and your village with those resources and money. You feel me? But you got to have money, which a lot of the a lot of the Rastafarian community, they believe that money is evil because they believe that money is linked to white supremacy. Y'all got to kick that shit out your system. Bob Marley had money. And what did he do with that money? He took that money and he was giving it to a lot of the poor people in his community. So Bob Marley was a patriarch. And he fathered a lot of you. He gave you a lot of resources. So you have to have money. Rastaman can have money, or you can be spiritual and have money and do good spiritual things with the money you have. You got to kick that Marxism broke nigga talk shit. That's the other game that's being ran on black folks, right? Is that, well, I'm not even going to get into that. But, right? So, for black men, as I was talking about Marxism, right? I think because capitalism is really a masculine man, it's really masculinity. That's what capitalism is. It's masculinity, to be honest with you. Right? Because capitalism says the man who can compete is going to be the best man. I mean, the best man win. Marxism is losers. Right? The idea of Marxism is that to get rid of the hierarchy of class. And only in a man's world is there hierarchy. There's always going to be a man better than the other man. Right? There's always going to be that. And there's a reason for that. Because now the better man influences the weaker man to get better and get up to his level. So there's a reason for that. Right? So I think all this tactic was a way to get women to weaken men, so that weaken the black men, so that they don't participate in capitalism either. Because at the end of the day, capitalism does promote patriarchy. Why? Because in the environment we live in, men are built for the environment to succeed in the environment we're in. In other words, because the environment is harsh, it takes a man who's built to survive that harshness of that environment to become the best man out there. Feel me? And what black women don't understand is that if your man is not, if you're not built for that harsh environment, your black man is. And the only way your community is going to win is if your black man wins. And I think black women know that. I think they just don't care. Because they're depending on that their white slave master is going to bring them along with them. Is going to bring her along with them, which he's not. The slave master is just going to use her to be, as a tool to defeat your black men. Now, because black men were programmed by a lot of the men of the bloomer generation. Jesus Christ. Right? A lot of the pro-blacks, like the Nation of Islam and all those people, they program a lot of black men to be subordinate to their women, especially from the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam, they like to repeat a quote that says, when you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. Now, what's wrong with that quote? Right? First of all, they just put that quote out there and they haven't broken down that quote properly. They just put it out there to be vague, left to interpretation. But what the Nation of Islam and the pro-blacks mean by when you teach a woman, you teach a nation, it means that the woman is more important than the black man, the individual. Where's the problem with that? The problem with that is that if women follow men according to the laws of nature, and men are in the leadership position, right? Wouldn't it not make the man more important than the woman? Because if the man is the authority, he's the structure of that community, he's the substance or the Abba. Abba will be substance or sustainer. If he's the maintainer of that society, right? Because in your Quran it says that Allah or the Prophet Muhammad instructs men to be the maintainer of the woman. And also it says that in that same passage, right? Man is the authority over woman, right? If I'm the one who sets the boundaries, if I'm the authority in my household, that would mean that when you teach the man, you're not just teaching the individual, you're teaching the future leader of that nation. You're teaching the future leader, you're teaching the future builder, you're teaching a future teacher, and the father and the patriarch of that nation. So I say, so in other words, if the nation, so let me break it down like this, right? See, really and truly, the women are the nation. Why is that? Because the women, they give birth to children. Right? And when you educate the woman certain things, she's going to pass what she learned or what she was educated on to her children. Those children are going to take what they learned from their mother and they're going to grow up with that education. Right? The thing is, though, the man is supposed to give that woman instructions and education on how to teach the children. Because her position is to educate and teach the children, the men have to check the women and hold the women accountable to a standard and educate the women properly because they're in charge of educating the children. Because it's in that hierarchy. God, man, woman, and child. God teaches them, influences the man influences the woman influences the children. The male children, they become men, the female children, they become the women, and that cycle repeats itself. Right? So when you teach a man to be God or patriarch over that nation, the mother. Patriarchal or father or patah. Right? So when you teach a man, he can be the father over the women, that nation, and those children. But the Nation of Islam, how they phrase that how they phrase that is they position the woman, the nation, the woman over the man, as if the woman is more important than the man. See, the nation of women, who is the mother, they cannot give birth to the children if the man doesn't, his man's sperm doesn't reach the egg and provide that egg with the man's genetic material. Thank you, Ross. Right? See, my sperm contains my genetic material, my intelligence, my DNA, my experiences. And when that sperm, that spark of life, hits the egg, it injects my genetic material into that egg. And it can determine the gender and the sex of that egg, or that child, or that zygote. See, those eggs are not activated until my sperm activates those eggs. So that sperm, or so that nation, the mother doesn't give birth to a nation without my gate, without my spark of life, or my key. So there is no nation without the father, the man. So when you teach a man, you're not just teaching an individual. You're teaching a patriarch that could turn the mother, that nation, into an empire. That's what that is. And there's no nation without the father's spark of life. And really and truly, man and woman, we help each other come back. We help each other to come back to this plane of existence. I am the gate key, the light, right? I'm the light, the spark of light, or the key. She's the gate. My key unlocks her gate. Without my key, her gate becomes shut. See what I'm saying? I'm not God, but as men, we're not God. We're not God himself, but we're like the second hand in command, right? So God has charged man to have dominion over the nation. See what I'm saying? Right. That's why in the Quran, it says that man is the maintainer of the woman, because he has dominion or authority over that woman. And when you have dominion and you have authority over the nation, that woman, right, you're supposed to make sure that law and order is in place, structure is in place. You feel me? And if the man falls, there is no structure for that nation. There's no structure for those children. So that's why I say that the man is more important than the woman, because the woman is a weaker vessel. And if the gate is not strong enough, if the key is not strong enough to protect the gate is going to be invaded by demons or whatever else going to come through that gate. But see, a lot of simps, like Dr. Umar Johnson and Yada Awakening, their egos is too big and attached to matriarchy and feminism and black woman is God. They don't see that way because they don't value black men and our masculinity. You feel me? They don't really value our masculinity at all. And you know, that's a big problem. You feel me? No. So, you know, as you know, moving forward as black men, y'all gotta kick these shaman tactics out of your fucking system. You're not insecure because you don't want a 304, or you don't want a chick that's disrespectful, or you have a fucking preference. That's the other reason why women are allowed to have preferences, and men are not. Because if a man follows the rules of the woman's preferences, you're her subordinate. And now she's the matriarch or she's the ruler over you. But if she's following your preferences, she's following your rules and your laws, she's following your patriarchy, and she's submitting to your superiority. That's why it's set up that way. Because they want black men to be subordinate to the woman. But really and truly, the woman, she's not the women. The black community is not a matriarchy. Really, the black woman is just the overseer. She's just enforcing white people or the democratic left standards. She's really enforcing feminism. She's just the overseer of the black culture. The Anger Man has pointed this out. Or the Anger Man said that the black woman is the overseer of the black community, right? I'm saying that the black community is not matriarchal at all. I'm saying that black woman is the overseer, and she's taking her instructions from white people or whoever's the dominant of society. I don't want to say white people as all white people, but she's taking her instructions from the liberal left in America. So in other words, the liberal left is telling her what to do, and then she's sidestepping her black man to teach the children. Because really and truly, why I say that the black man is the gatekeeper, right? He's the keeper of the gate, or he's the key, right? The black man, he's going to say hell no to the liberal left. He's the lion that's going to block the hyena's influences from influencing his woman and his children, right? So because black men have been defeated, let's call it what it is, brothers. We've been defeated, or really not defeated. Black women just sidestepped our authority and are now taking instructions from the liberal left, the hyenas, and they're feeding it to the children. This is why a lot of black women want to be single mothers. They'll find a weak-ass dude to get pregnant by, have multiple children, so that she can raise those children off of liberal leftist ideas. That's what that really is. So she's just really the overseer. She's really not a matriarch. You feel me? But in conclusion, black men, stop allowing black women and other black men to shame you by calling you insecure because you're coming on to YouTube like me and you're speaking. As a man, you're not supposed to be stoic about the bullshit going on in your community. Right? As a leader, as men, how you influence the women to do a thing and how you influence your environment is you got to communicate with that environment. Right? Before, we had to use physicality to forge and take the fire of the environment and forge it into things. Today, we use our words. We use the heat that comes from our solar plex, and we spit flames out in a way of words. So as black men, you have to communicate to the women that's in your environment. You have to communicate to the subordinates into your environment. And you have to come on YouTube and tell other people and not give a fuck about what other people have to say. Stop taking your social cues from what white men are saying and black men who are non-traditional are saying and what your women are saying. That's how you do it. Anyway, this is Kiss Shorty Gamer Nation. Like, share, subscribe. And to you trolls, stop coming to my damn channel. Y'all don't go to Fresh and Fit channel and bother them. You come to my channel and bother me. Y'all need to grow up and get a life. I'm not a rich nigga, but I'm not going around bothering people's channel. I don't go to other people's channel and troll their chat. I actually go to other people's channel because I want to learn what they're talking about, or I could take something away from what they teach. Just the problem with our society we have that there's a bunch of dumb motherfuckers out here. And because they're too cowardly to troll people in real life, they come to the internet and troll. But anyway, this is Kid Shawty Gamer Nation. I'm out. Not you, Ross. You came in late. I'm talking about before you came in.